Hello, Frixis here. I have a quick development update for you. So essentially I'm working on the new gripping system for Neos and I would like to showcase the current status. So let me just open up my inventory and let's open the weapons. So right here I have essentially a weapon that's been made before the new gripping system. And now if I grab it, you can see it's kind of like snaps to my hand. If I grab it with my other hand, you see it also snaps. And the cool thing is, right now I haven't actually done anything to upgrade this old item. So one of the changes, because I want to preserve some of the old items as much as possible, is I've designed heuristics, which essentially sort of analyzes the item that you're grabbing, but it's a tool, and essentially tries to figure out where it should go in your hand. And it's not quite accurate because you need some kind of potential AI to actually figure out this is the handle, but it tends to work pretty well enough. So let's try a few other items. So let me, for example, bring this out so I can grab this. And I see this doesn't go far enough, but again, it's close enough. It still makes the old item usable. And it's very easy to also upgrade them to support the new gripping, and I'll show you how in a moment. Let's try this one also. So see, this one also roughly works. I can easily grip it. It even works when the item is scaled, although in this case the heuristics the heuristic might not do as well. It depends more on how the item was actually set up. Let's try this one. This one's also another cool item. So you see, this works. This works. So essentially, this kind of saves the dance when you have an item like this where you have to grip it and then move it around. You just grab it, it snaps into your hand, and it's aligned, so you can use the item. Let's try this one. I haven't actually used this one before. Oh, also works. There's actually a bunch of things that it checks because the heuristic tries to best figure out what the item is. This one was actually challenging, but now this works pretty well. Because a lot of the items, they're not actually even set up properly as tooltips. I can still equip this. You see, if I equip this, it goes like this because the tooltip defines that this is forward. But the heuristic system, essentially, it sort of analyzes the item. It looks for certain components, for example, particle emitters and Raycast nodes, determines in which direction it would shoot something, and essentially it does a bunch of analysis on the size of the object, and based on that where the shooting point is on the object, and based on that it determines the upwards, forwards, and right direction on the tool. Let's try the wind. This one is also another one. So see, this one is also a bit more challenging because this kind of requires more complex grip. So I've made a system so it works well. It works well for weapons, but for things like this, you definitely need to adjust it. You also see in this case it doesn't quite figure out where up is. Let's try this one. This one works pretty well. Oh no. So it's also pretty good. Well, let's try this. This one's a pretty big one. So this one actually I think to adjust the heuristics a little bit because this one was working better before. Because I do have a rejection for I do have a rejection for essentially for parts that are too big, because some of the items they actually shoot actually this one does it. You see it shoots this laser, and if I let go and I grip it, this will make the weapon shoot into somewhere really far away, because essentially the laser, it would get considered as part of the size of the object and it wouldn't get aligned properly. But I think in this case it's rejecting some parts that it shouldn't. But still, should work well enough. At least to make the old items still somewhat usable. But I definitely do recommend upgrading all of them, because that way like you really get like the most of it out of the new system. And the items like this is not gonna work too well, unfortunately, because it doesn't know what kind of item this is supposed to be. So this definitely needs upgrading. So let's actually showcase how you can upgrade an item. Let me actually grab this weapon first, because this one works pretty well, but let me just show you how the upgrade process works. So I'm gonna grab developer tooltip. I'm gonna simply open it up, open the inspector, and let's say I want to first adjust the grip on the right hand. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find the root of the item, so a little bit higher. Okay, so this seems to be, yep, this is already a tooltip. What I do, I simply add a new child. I go attach component, interaction, grab pose reference. I want to do one for my right hand, so I switch to right, and then I enable debug visual. And you can see like this makes essentially this hand pop up. And if I grip this, you see it gets aligned with my hand. So now what I can do, I can simply grab this hand. Oh, interesting, this is actually not working. This was working just a moment ago. Although, let me check. I think something went wrong with setting up the collider. Yep. There we go. I think this fired too early. There we go. So now I can take this, I can position this. So that's gonna be fixed, so don't worry about it. So I can position it about here. Roughly here, and I grip it, and you see it's gonna fit better. And I don't want to do this. And I can hide the visual. So debug visual. So this goes away, and this still stays. Eventually, there's also gonna be things where essentially you can define where like the fingers go. So like it can actually get, like the fingers like they get posed. So it's gonna give you even more control. But I think this is a good starting point. Also add another one for the other hand. So I'm just gonna duplicate this. Set this one for the left to debug visual, and I have to move this one with my other hand. Let's go about here. And another good thing about this system is that this actually also defines size. So if you were to resize this hand, like the item would be appropriately resized for it would be appropriately resized, so essentially it fits in your hand. And this kind of gets rid of another issue which people often have with setting up their custom tooltips, where essentially they have like some weird scale on the root, and they require this to be a specific scale, and then I equip the tooltip and it just becomes huge, or it becomes like tiny. So this pretty much solves that problem, because you say this is how big the hand is on the item. So I have the setup. I can hide the visual. Even if you forget to hide the visual, it's okay. It's non-persistent. All of this is non-persistent except for the reference. So now we have properly set up item. And if you really want, like you can let's actually show the visual again. Like we can like take this and like let's say you want to hold it in a silly way with your left hand like this. I'm gonna hide it. So if I grab it with my right hand, it works like this. If I grab it with my left, you see I'm holding it in a really silly way. And the cool thing, you can actually define multiple of these grab pose references. The system, it will automatically look for the one that's closest to where you are gripping. So if you want the object to actually be grippable from multiple parts, you can set up multiple hands on it. Like for example, maybe on something like this. Although I don't think this would be a good case either. But if you really want, you can add multiple gripping poses. You can even do it actually for items that are not tools. So even for general gripping items, you can just put a bunch of like the grab pose references on them, and they will nicely snap into the hand. So let's do the same thing for this 4. So you can see this one doesn't work too well, unfortunately. So this definitely needs an upgrade. I'll see if there's a way to upgrade the heuristics. So where do my developer tooltip go? But it's maybe for later. So let's open this up, and pretty much the same approach. Find the root. So this looks like the root. gonna add a hand interaction. I might also move this to some other category, but it's here for now. Debug visual. And I would say like the hand should go about here. It seems about good, so I grip it. It's actually good. So like you see, doesn't matter how I grip it, it always aligns it with my hand and makes it much easier to use. So it simplifies a lot of the behaviors and it should make things feel a little more streamlined. And I can do the same for the other hand. So I can go right, debug visual, and it's pretty much around the area where I want it. So, and again, this is the bug. Just need to redo the collider. Just a small bug, and it's going to be fixed in a bit. So see, now I grip it. Oh, never mind. Let's hide it. The big visual. There we go. Well, let's also deselect. And I see, no matter like how I grip it, it always like aligns itself with my hand. So I think it's pretty cool. There's actually another thing that's coming in this build. I've already also redone certain interactions. So now essentially physical grabbing is essentially like automatic, like when you grab by hand. So I'm actually using, let's say I'm using my joystick to move around. And normally like when you grab something, like it overrides your joystick and essentially makes it move like this. But oftentimes like when you just want to like grab something and move somewhere, this becomes annoying because you end up just moving the item. But now when I grip this by my hand, I can still move around. It doesn't actually activate the laser. And that way, if you really want to move something like this, it's more explicit. You grab it by laser. The laser itself, it will be reworked where essentially it's sort of like explicitly activated. And so like if I grab it laser, I move it around. If I grab it like this, I still move around with my joystick and doesn't override any of my interactions. However, if it's the same actually applies for the tools. So for example, when I grab this, I can still, well, I'm gonna grab it with my right hand because the left one I set up here in a really weird way. I'm still moving with the joystick on my right hand. I can be shooting. I can just let go. The item stays there. There's also like a way you can actually equip it. So that way I can like let go. And I'm gonna get rid of it. So that's pretty much this is it for now, I think. There's probably a bunch of things I forgot, but you'll see them anyway, at least in the release updates. And still a bunch of bugs to fix, so this is not fully ready for release, but I hope this gives you some insight into what's coming and what you can, as a content creator, what you can start once this build comes out, like how you can start upgrading your content. So if you have any questions, suggestions, let me know. Definitely join our Discord if we haven't already. And also, as usual, thank everyone for supporting the project, and special thanks for our Patreon supporters. Because without you, like this project wouldn't exist, and I wouldn't be able like to be working on this anymore and improving things and making them better. So thank you very much, and I'll see you at the next update. Bye bye.